Hello everyone, welcome to Moonride, where we're channeling the man in the moon. Today I'm going to do something really unusual, and I am going to sort of pray for Donald Trump. Okay, I know you think that's crazy. Where the heck is Dave going with this? I'm really angry. But one thing that I have read about is when, really intense Buddhists encounter dark forces, what they really do is wish them love and give them sort of what they need, and then those dark forces are transformed and go away. So that's sort of where I'm going. It's also important to understand our own processing here. Are we able to love someone in such a way that they become good? Can we do that? Even if it doesn't work, our intention is really important because we are being transformed by this activity. So don't hang up now. Don't change the channel. You might get something out of this, right? Again, this is not a political reading. So one thing that will be really helpful is to acknowledge your anger. Okay, so if you're sitting here, and again, don't do this while you're driving a car, maybe not the best time, but create your anger. Let your anger take some kind of form, right? My anger, and please don't be prejudiced by my anger, but my anger kind of looks like Sonic the Hedgehog. I've never seen that cartoon, but it sort of looks like that, only more bristly and more aggressive. And I'm just saying hello to this character because, and you can create your own here. Say hello to this character and say, wow, hey, nice to meet you. Nothing wrong with you. We all have anger. That anger is really helpful. I'm just going to say to him, man, you've helped me out so many times. You've stopped me from doing really stupid stuff. You've got me to stand up for myself. You have helped me do moral things and righteous things and all these things. I wouldn't be here today if I wasn't somewhat angry about what's happening in our society. So I really want you to look at your anger, whatever form it takes. Could be a thing or a person, could be a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter at all. But you need to acknowledge this character and let them know they have been really, really helpful. A lot of our society is about repressing your anger, or certain emotions are not allowed, right? This is wrong. We don't want anger to take over, but we want anger to have a seat at the table here. And I'm just going to look at him, this Sonic the Hedgehog character, and say, hey, wow, welcome. You have a seat at the table. I'm not going to listen to only you, but I will listen to you, right? Because you do have a good deal of important information for me. Yeah, just sort of say hello, accept who he is, and I'm just going to, make him a sort of deal. If we give you a little bit of what you want, can you stand aside for a moment? We will not forget about you. We'll come back. We're just going to ask you to stand aside. He might, or she might demand something in return. I'm going to see, because I'm also going to bring love here. And you do the same thing. Just think about love. What form does it take? It could take any form. It could be a thing. Maybe it could be a violin, or it could be a ring, or whatever. I don't care. Mine is actually taking a form of a beautiful woman, and it's interesting because she doesn't look young. She has white hair, and she's not Venus. She's an older and fairly wise-looking woman wearing white. She has very, very white hair, right? And I'm going to say hello to her too and acknowledge her. And again, it makes no difference what gender love shows up for you. It'll be different for everyone. Okay, love. Maybe I'm just going to be open to her. It's funny because she's kind of fleeting. It's kind of like I have to ask her to show up. Anger was there right away, but love, I kind of have to coax her a little bit and make it a good environment for her to show up. So you do want to acknowledge your love, too, and just say hello. And we're going to give her a little bit of time, or him a little bit of time. That is love. So I'm just going to ask those two characters, hate and love, to sort of make an agreement. Right, and if he's going to stand outside, in my case, anger's a he, then, what would he like in return, right? And I'm just having my love ask him. If we just give him a few, if he stands aside, what would he like? And, it's funny, these entities always ask for very simple things, and I don't know what is the thing with me and apples, but anger says, okay, I'll stand aside for a couple of minutes on one condition. That is, you buy an apple, and I want you to chop the heck out of it. Don't just cut it. I want you to whack at it and just chop it and chop it and chop it. Okay, that's what I'll do. That's what I'm going to do. Again, we don't want your anger to do anything like harm another, right? It's just, we just want to acknowledge it and give us, some space. Probably alone would be better, unless you're going to explain to people what you're doing. And that, lets you indulge your anger. I mean, you might want to throw a plate against the wall. That's okay, as long as nobody's around, you don't hurt anyone, you don't necessarily hurt the wall. Maybe it's an old plate you don't need anymore. We want to acknowledge this anger and give them their due. We don't want to let them control everything, but we want to give them something. That's fair, right? So, all right, anger. Dave will get an apple, and he will chop the heck out of it, okay? So, okay, love, and I'm just going to ask us, as anger stands aside here, and you can literally imagine anger just sort of standing aside, he's going to come back, or she's going to come back, right? And then we're just going to look at love. And I'm going to ask love, what can we do? We don't want to hate anyone necessarily. Maybe we hate their actions, but love, what could we do to, really move Donald Trump? And in a sense, if it's only in ourselves that we move Donald Trump, that's okay, right? It might be that if we collectively all do this, he will be a little bit moved, or that transition that is going to happen between one power and the next is a little bit softer, right, and a little bit less harmful. And this is not easy to do. If you think about people who've done terrible things, it isn't going to be so easy for us to go and be sympathetic for them. But I'm going to ask you now, with all love and sympathy, to look at Donald Trump. And it's probably not helpful to look at him as an adult, because, his habits have already been formed, and he behaves in a hateful manner, often. Instead, let's go to Donald Trump as the 3-year-old kid. Let's face it, no kid is born bad. It just doesn't happen that children are sociopaths. Maybe 0.01% of the time they are born, in this particular way. But most of the people you see in prison were kids just like you and me. They just had a different reaction to suffering, or they suffered a good deal more. You take a look at Donald Trump, and go ahead and do this on your own. Let's see, with all love and sympathy, what happened to him. Why did he become that way? I see a scared kid. I see a kid playing, innocently. And when a really tall guy who he doesn't, really like, comes up and starts yelling at him. And, he's just a 3-year-old kid. He doesn't understand this character and why he's being yelled at. I see a kid who's frightened, who wants the approval of this man, who I'm pretty sure is his father, who's afraid of his father. And I also see a parent, a mom, who lets it happen. She accepts that he will treat her child cruelly. He's mad at both of them. I don't necessarily blame 3-year-old Trump. These are terrible parents. It's a terrible situation. I don't care how much money he had, right? Any one of us would choose to be incredibly poor with loving parents. If we had a choice between these parents and wealth, all of us would choose the loving parents, right? So you have to agree that, he did have some problems. There is a reason why Trump is Trump. As we're doing this, just give this kid love in any way that you can. Send your love, sympathize with him. Again, forget his actions as an adult. This is a 3-year-old child who is just reacting to what's happening. What could we do? Maybe we could walk into the room and almost like stand behind him and say to those parents, buzz off. Okay, leave him alone. This kid's innocent, right? Because he really is at 3 years old. He didn't do anything wrong at 3. And if he did, he's a 3-year-old. Let's just say, he has the right to speak. I'm just kind of walking up there and I'm just saying, hey, you guys, back off. I'm also asking the parents, think about what you're doing to him. Think about what kind of person this man is becoming. I should say this child is becoming. He's just a kid. He's just a scared kid just like scared kids like you and I were scared when we were children. He is a child. He's innocent. He didn't do anything wrong at 3. Right? So maybe just ask the 3-year-old, what do you need? And I'm standing there, I'm asking Trump, what do you need? You know what's really surprising? You know what he wants? Flowers, right? He just wants beautiful flowers. He just wants to see something pretty. I wonder if there isn't some tiny little element of Donald Trump the adult that has one redeeming feature, and that is an attraction to beauty. We all know where that led him in some really bad places. But for the moment, we're looking at a 3-year-old kid who's just asking for flowers. He's just asking for something that will brighten his day and give him a little bit more optimism about the future. Please access Trump from your own heart with your love at your side. Ask, what do you need, right? And try to give it to him. And I should say, do give it to him. We can go there. Right, what else would you need? I also want some ice cream. Why not? Let's give him some ice cream. Okay, I won't make a joke about how many scoops he wants. Okay. Spirit does have a sense of humor here. But, again, why shouldn't he have 2 scoops? It's all imaginary ice cream anyway. Let's just give him what he wants. For once. And nothing connecting it. Just gonna give you this just because. This is not transactional. I think he really wants to go to the park. Okay, let's go to the park. And he just wants to play with other children. That's something I feel like, maybe Donald was really deprived of. He couldn't just play normally with normal kids of all races, creeds, and classes and colors. His father was a racist. He wouldn't have allowed that happen. He would never have had normal relationships with normal kids being spontaneous. It's sad, isn't it? I mean, I don't feel sad for the adult, but I do feel sad for this little child. Any of us could have been born in that situation and become a monster. Hopefully we would see through this horrific process, right? But it could happen to any of us if we were young, 3 years old, vulnerable, didn't know any better. All right, well, okay, Donald, I'm going to put you on that little spinning thing. That thing that spins around is that kids sit on at a park. It's not a merry-go-round, but it's like I don't know what to call it. Okay, I'll put you on there, and I'll give you a good spin. And I feel like this, it's not transactional. I feel like all of the things from his childhood were always transactional. Yeah, you can have that if you pass this class. Yeah, you can have that if you, beat up the other kid. I mean, that's how transactional it was. Think how awful it would be to be used like that by your parents. To never have the freedom to be who you are. To always be, always be pushed in a certain direction and never have some feelings acknowledged and always have to be the strong one. No wonder he's full of rage. Rage is over here cheering me on, like, yeah, I know what he's talking about. You feel rage too, Dave. Right? So, are we all that different from him? Yeah, we're doing, better things, I hope. But in our heart of hearts, are we really that different? Sometimes we blow up. Sometimes we do wrong things. Sometimes we might even do unethical things. Let's just acknowledge that we have some bad qualities too, right? It doesn't mean we're bad. And it doesn't mean Trump's good. But if anything, it does mean that we could give him love. Right? This does not acknowledge or accept any of the things that he does. It doesn't mean that he is okay to do what he has done to people, to minorities, to our nation. Again, we're going to put that aside and maybe even leave that with the anchor and just go there and just wish him into the light. Just push as much light as possible towards Donald Trump. Even the adult. Let's just put his anger aside and just go right there and see that even as an adult, he's kind of a little small kid. All right? This is what a true compassionate person looks like. And I'm telling you, as I'm saying this, I'm not a truly compassionate person. I'm completely flawed. I have really stupid things that I've done and I'm totally embarrassed of. And you do too. All of us have that, right? But maybe just for this moment, we can become that sort of compassionate, you could put it into any religion, bodhisattva, whatever. You can be an atheist and still give compassion, or you can be agnostic and just say, okay, I'm just going to send compassion this way just to see what will happen, right? And maybe you can even see this child change. Let him receive it. Let him receive this light and love and attention. Really look at him in his eyes and give it. I see a tearful child. I wonder if somebody ever could make a breakthrough with Donald. See the crying kid inside of him. Maybe not. But in this moment we can. Just again, I'm really seeing big tearful eyes. And understand that as we're doing this, we are transforming ourselves as well as Donald Trump. Just give it one more minute and give it another push. No judgment. We're just going to give love to a person. All right. Okay. So now I just invite you to ask, how do you feel? Do you feel better? Do you feel different? Do you also feel like, hey, there's anger here at the table, love here at the table? Okay, you're all welcome at my table. All of you have something to say. We don't want to give full reign to any specific character at all times, although love wouldn't be such a bad thing. But, all of these characters serve us, and perhaps it also serves us to, while we continue to fight and engage with the anger, also engage with the love in everything that we are doing. Let all these characters sit at the table and acknowledge they all have a role to play here, right? Thanks so much for watching.